The amount of times I've had Israelis in my DMs telling me that Hamas is going to throw me off a roof. These militarized police forces using the same tactics on Americans that they use on Palestinians in the West Bank and in Gaza. And then Elon Musk was like, she should be fired. And then I changed my TikTok bio to Elon Musk's least favorite nurse. Which will go on my resume. I was there. I was at Standing Rock as a medical volunteer. And this is my hot take. I think that black and brown folks in America live under occupation and have lived under occupation, especially indigenous people. That's just like a blatant fact. I have a large following now in Gaza, which I'm so grateful for. I feel so honored to have. I have friends in Gaza that I speak to, if not daily, at least weekly. I mean, you can't have a pride parade in Gaza. Okay, you can't have a pride parade in Gaza because the streets have all been bombed. Pinkwashing is the use of, and I would say the abuse of queer rights as a way to justify the harm of black and brown people. I haven't experienced any homophobia from either Palestinians or Muslim folks.
Also, how does it feel to be a nurse and seeing hospitals get bombed?
Yeah. Awful, especially when I know people inside of them. I don't think there are any healthcare workers on earth braver than the Palestinians. This deliberate targeting of healthcare workers is part of this just broader project of genocide. There are at least 300 women giving birth every day in Gaza with no anesthetic. No anesthetic for C-sections. When I think of the medical workers that have chosen to remain silent, it's not that I think they're bad people necessarily. I think that they're just chicken shit and cowardly. I have screenshots from not just me, but multiple people who she DM'd trying to justify why it's okay that Israel bombs hospitals. How do I say this in a way that doesn't put me on an FBI watch list?
You're already there, so yeah.
I probably am.
Habibi House.
Gingers have been adopted into a lot of different racial groups lately. I don't know if you followed that whole discourse.
Are we rolling?
Is it because
You're black now, huh?
I'm black, and I would like to apply for Irish folks specifically, because not all gingers are Irish, and not all Irish people are gingers, to be Middle Eastern. I think Irish folks are better than most Europeans. That's my very bigoted opinion, very prejudiced opinion as an Irish person.
Okay, well, we can welcome you. I think the delegation will talk about it, and
amazing. Let me know what they say.
I mean, this is the delegation.
Okay.
We're talking about it right now.
the wild thing is you go to Lebanon, you see like a full-on ginger person, and they speak like fluent Arabic.
Yeah, we got gingers.
We got gingers.
Yeah, well, the Arab ginger, or the
Yeah.
ginger Arab,
Yeah,
his handle, I forget his first name, but we're mutuals online. It happens.
small community, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's also like a whole subgroup of Pakistani folks in the north of Pakistan that are gingers, and they are like 100% Pakistani, but they live in like mountainous regions, and I guess they just got,
Ginger.
bleached by the sun,
Oh,
if you will.
Is that what it comes from?
bleached
I don't know
by-
what it comes from.
The colonizers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Remember the joke that gingers didn't have souls?
We don't.
Oh, so it's not a joke?
No, we have no souls.
Oh, wow.
All right, we got Alexis Rose in the building.
Welcome to the Habibi House.
Thank you. I love being here.
We're honored to welcome Alexis Rose, known as Traveling Nurse
Yes.
on TikTok, Traveling Nurse Lex on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're a registered nurse whose platform goes far beyond healthcare. She has worked in 7 states, over 15 different hospitals, and volunteered as the media coordinator of operating field hospitals and medical evacuations in Gaza. While she has documented her journey across the country as a frontline worker, she also has become a powerful voice for justice, using her reach to advocate for Palestinian liberation and amplify underrepresented struggles. Her content brings empathy, education, and courage to conversations that matter. We're excited to talk to Lex about the intersections of care, conscience, and collective resistance. Welcome, Alexis.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks, you guys. What an intro.
Yeah.
Got through it, didn't we?
Got through it.
So it's Pride Month.
It is Pride Month. Happy Pride.
Yeah. What? How are we celebrating?
Well, I U-hauled with my partner, which I think is like the gayest thing you can do during Pride Month. Up here to LA, so we are proud LA residents now.
I mean, I U-hauled from Miami to LA.
Love it.
During Pride
But
Month?
no, I should have timed it better, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
could have. But we didn't use a U-Haul. We used a different moving company, but it's more of a verb now to U-Haul with someone.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. I actually haven't been able to attend a lot of Pride events, which I'm really bummed about.
They canceled Pride, you know, there's World War III.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
But I also was like in DC for WeHo Pride, and then I'm going to try my best to make San Diego Pride specifically because Kalani's performing and I love her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a whole controversy about that, right?
Yeah.
He's hating on
Well,
Kalani for no reason.
they just hate anyone that will speak up against Western imperialism.
I mean, we don't hate her.
No. I mean, no.
I love her.
Yeah.
She knows that. I've told her.
Yeah.
Shout out
She needs to hear it more.
Yeah,
you know?
she does.
So you wanted to touch on like a lot of as you said, you yap.
Yeah,
You're a yapper,
professionally.
professional yapper.
What's the first subject?
I mean,
What's on your mind right now?
Oh, God. I mean, driving over here, I think I was thinking a lot about just the interconnections between the movement for Palestinian liberation, collective liberation, queer liberation, and kind of how things all tie together. It is Pride Month. There's a lot of fucked up shit happening here in the States targeting queer folks specifically, trans folks even more specifically.
Interesting. I heard. Did you hear about the King of the Hill thing?
No.
So
Oh yeah.
the Native American guy who was on King of the Hill.
Okay, Jonathan Joss.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I thought there was like
That was like
something about the show specifically, and I was
no,
like, wow.
no, but he was targeted, right? Because of
Yeah, no, that was a hate crime and an
crime.
assassination of a queer indigenous person in front of his trans partner. There's a lot of just horrific violence that people are facing here and abroad, and I think there's a lot of connections between the things happening here, the things happening in Gaza, in Iran, in Sudan. Sorry, I can't misspeaking.
pronounce your A's correctly.
I know, I'm
different.
trying.
Every word is different. Iraq, Iran,
Yeah.
Saddam.
Well, and Iraq too. I mean, I think that again, all of this goes back to truly like Western imperialism, and that is just the collective enemy here.
Okay, and what about Western imperialism is so oppressive?
Do you want me to make you a list?
Yes, I want to know everything, all the ways that Western imperialism oppresses people. What is the reason? Like, is it to control people?
Yeah, I mean it's white supremacy.
Okay.
I think that's the core of it, right? Like white patriarchal supremacy. And I think
Everything else is just
offshoots of all of
wrong.
it. I mean, look at what happened and is still happening to indigenous folks here, right? I would say, and this is my hot take, I think that black and brown folks in America live under occupation and have lived under occupation, especially indigenous people. That's just like a blatant fact for hundreds of years now. There are estimates, it kind of differs depending on which anthropologists that you talk to, but a lot of folks have said that upwards of 19 million First Nations people were killed in the colonialization of North and South America, which is an insane number to think about.
I thought it was more. I thought the trail, like over the 400 or like when the first white people kind of landed here.
How many is
So now
19 million.
Whoa, 19 million. That's
I thought it was
insane.
like in the.
But that's back then, too.
There could be more. I mean, that's just like estimates that people are using. And we know now because of actually, there's a archaeological site in San Diego, in Chula Vista specifically, where they dug up this mammoth that had been killed using tools by human beings way earlier than they thought people had been here. So we now have rough evidence that people have been in North America for upwards of 20,000 years.
Oh.
Where we thought that like the whole ice bridge theory, that's kind of been, I mean, it's contested, but I think that there's ample evidence to believe that folks have been here a lot longer than that. So, I mean, that's one aspect of it. I think that obviously Zionist movement is essentially Western imperialism, and it all connects together. I mean, we look at police forces here in the States being trained in Israel, using the same tactics as Israel. You can talk about, Rosewood, Florida, the connections between the Klan and police forces, burning down an entire black city in Florida, or the move bombings in Philadelphia, which was literally the Philadelphia Police Department bombing a black neighborhood.
Sure. Wow. And like the Black Wall Street too, that whole thing.
Yep,
What is
the
that?
Tulsa Massacre. I mean, there's so many examples of this, of like black and brown folks in this country living under occupation. And I mean, look at Ferguson, right? The assassination of Michael Brown, Minneapolis and George Floyd, Denver and Elijah McClain, and the militarized police forces that responded to the uprisings that followed all of those. Breonna Taylor. Like, there are so many examples of this, and these militarized police forces using the same tactics on Americans that they use on Palestinians in the West Bank and in Gaza. So I think that there are so many parallels to be drawn here. I mean, Standing Rock, a great example. When I was there. I was at Standing Rock as a medical volunteer, and I watched this.
For the people that don't know, sorry, Standing Rock was what?
Standing Rock was an act of protest,
Okay.
where allies joined the Lakota Sioux tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it was the first time in, I believe, over 100 years that there were representatives of all 509 indigenous nations in North America in one place.
Wow.
And everyone came together to stand against the drilling of an oil pipeline through the Standing Rock area. And so it was just blatant racism, right? They tried to pass this oil pipeline through Bismarck, and the white folks in Bismarck voted against it. So they forced it at gunpoint on these indigenous people, and it has since poisoned the water source, which was exactly why they said no. And out of all of the hundreds of miles they could have chose to drill this oil pipeline, they drilled it through a cemetery. They were pulling human remains out of the earth in full view of indigenous people to pass this pipeline, and then standing on top of them with fire hoses laced with mace, aiming them at the heads of indigenous people. Like, it was, again, we talk about militarized police forces coming at civilians with weapons of war.
Right.
Weapons that are banned under the Geneva Convention but are allowed to be used against civilians for policing.
Yeah.
Like even the protests in LA, they had guns and tear gas and like bullets that had tear gas in them and
Predator drones.
They were beating journalists.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the same exact thing we see.
Same exact thing. The Predator drones specifically were flying in the hexagonal pattern, which we see them fly over Palestine, over LA.
What do they do exactly?
Oh, so they're surveillance drones. They're not weaponized drones, but they're surveillance drones, and they're the same surveillance drones that are flown in Palestine. And we caught them on flight radars flying over LA and then flying back to the U.S.-Mexico border. So that's happening. We know the LAPD and the National Guard have been using the same AI facial recognition camera systems on protesters that they use on Palestinians in Gaza. So like,
to do what? To like arrest them or
to
target them?
No, to identify people. And we don't know what they're doing with that information yet.
Yeah.
But you can assume that they're...
put you on a shit list.
Yeah, they're trying to document who is showing up so that they can...
They're relying on Palantir and all these like AI situations to just... Yeah. They're going to do exactly what they're doing in AI, like in Palestine, where they target people based off of AI metrics.
Yes.
And so they can just be hands off. Their conscience is clear because the robot's doing it, not me. The same thing here. So they're not necessarily going to drone strike us yet, but they're going to be targeting who is going to be deported or not based off of this surveillance data and stuff. But Yeah.
Right. And we know that they're targeting leaders in the resistance movement. Mahmoud Khalil is a great example of this. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen
Who's
the
that?
Encampments documentary.
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
God,
for sure.
phenomenal. I mean, Watermelon Pictures and BT, is it BT Media or BT Newsroom?
Yeah.
That was such a moving film. Everyone should see that.
Yeah, 100%.
But
shout out Watermelon Pictures in general.
yeah,
They
and
just dropped a
Alana.
streaming service. Alana, shout out Alana.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal film, but we know that they're specifically targeting leaders of the resistance movements. When I say movements, because there's various, right? There's so many things that are to be resisted right now. And yeah, so Pride Month. I mean,
how is everything how is that connected? And a hot topic point is people will have signs that says like queers for Palestine, and and then
I'm one of them.
Obviously, and then
people will say, "Go try being gay in Gaza; they'll throw you off a roof."
Off a roof! Oh my God!
That's
The
like
amount of times I've had Israelis in my DMs telling me that Hamas is going to throw me off a roof is insane. Because I have a large following now in Gaza, which I'm so grateful for. I feel so honored to have. I have friends in Gaza that I speak to, if not daily, at least weekly. Shout out Mohammed Harara and Ahmed Mustafa. They are coworkers of mine in the Insan NGO that I've volunteered with. And none of them have threatened.
Good pronunciation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have a tattoo.
I have it literally tattooed on my arm. So
it's like the people.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yes. In the Quran, referencing to the human spirit. Yeah.
So your friends are not going to throw you off the roof then?
They actually, I will tell you, and this
they
is
promised.
I don't want to.
What is it?
I mean, there are literally no roofs left in Gaza.
Great point.
Because Israel destroyed them all. So there's
Yeah. And there's also always from Zionists specifically, whether it's Israelis or Christian Zionists here, there's this, why would you advocate for people who want to see you harmed? And my thing is, one, there are queer Palestinians. There are plenty of queer Palestinians, and we know this. Afif Nazuli is a journalist that was just in Gaza with Glia Medical and documented his conversations with queer folks in Gaza that are living with HIV and AIDS, trans women living in Gaza. He had a conversation with 3 trans women and documented the entire thing. We know that there are queer people in Gaza because there are queer people everywhere. So what about those folks? You can't have a pride parade in Gaza. Okay, you can't have a pride parade in Gaza because the streets have all been bombed.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to have a pride celebration if you're living under rubble?
And gay marriage isn't legal in Israel either. So
yeah.
They
exactly.
The term is pinkwashing. I'm sure
it is. It is.
They're like, we're so So there you go. Alley-oop, yeah. So
yeah, I think.
What is pinkwashing?
Pinkwashing is the use of, and I would say the abuse of queer rights as a way to justify the harm of Black and brown people, and saying, they don't support gay liberation, so why do you support their liberation?
Sure.
And I don't think that's even necessarily factually accurate. I mean, the amount of Muslim and Gazan friends I've had that messaged me when I went public with my new relationship, and they're like, "Mashallah, you have found love," and I'm like, "Thank you, thank you." Like I haven't experienced, and this is again a personal anecdote, but I haven't experienced any homophobia from either Palestinians or Muslim folks in my DMs or in real life.
Isn't that like the stereotype? Like, what did you say to there's obviously people that are more traditional and conservative in their viewpoint, especially in the Arab community. There are people that would be like, we don't need queer people on our side. You know what I mean?
I haven't heard that though.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that at all. I'm sure it exists, but I think that the bottom line is you can't resist homophobia. You can't fight for queer liberation in Gaza if you are stuck under rubble.
Sure.
So we have to address the, hierarchy of needs first.
Yeah. Samuel Bade, I think, had a bit. He said, we'll get to gay.
Yes. And I actually have a friend, Nurse Connor on TikTok, who is a queer Palestinian. And they have spoken so many times about everything that I'm echoing right now.
Yeah.
I reference their work and their talking points frequently because they're exactly right, that you can't fight for liberation if you are hiding from bombs. And so I think that there, again, is a hierarchy of needs. It's not to say that queer liberation isn't a priority. It's to say that we need people alive. We need people alive and in good health in order to fight for queer liberation anywhere. And if those things are at risk of being, taken from them, their lives, their healthcare, their ability to eat and drink, like, we can get into the conversation about the restriction of food and water, but your hierarchy of needs have to be met in order for you to fight for the liberation of marginalized people. And I think that the pinkwashing of this issue, I find so much offense with, because as a queer person, how dare you use the justification of, oh, well, they're homophobic, to justify bombing of children, of mothers, fathers, of innocent people. I don't care what their beliefs are. I don't want them being bombed.
So you're saying that even the Arab and Middle Eastern people that may not agree with
they could full on hate me. I don't care. I think they deserve to be alive.
Yeah.
And that is the same belief that I have here, where there are plenty of homophobic people in the United States. I don't think they should be bombed either. I don't think that they should be harmed because of that. I would love to invite them to the table and have a conversation and educate each other. I would love to provide that first person experience of, hey, I'm a queer person. Can I talk to you about what it's like to be me? Because I do think the remedy here is always education and love and first person connection. That's how you rehumanize a group that's been dehumanized. And I just don't think anyone will ever convince me that someone's beliefs justifies their entire community being reduced to rubble. I don't think that that's true.
Unless you're Zionist. No.
Well,
Yeah, it's
no, not rubble, but I do think that I am anti-colonial, right? I'm of Irish American origin. We can talk about Irish history and the struggle against colonialism that's been going on for 900 years there. That affected my family directly. But, it's all the same thing. It's all Western imperialism.
Sure.
The Brits and their Western imperialism of Ireland, and the fact that they practiced all of the human rights terrors that they used abroad in their various colonial projects, they first perfected on Irish people. And I think, again, it's just such a mirror of what we're experiencing here and in Gaza, because it's all the same enemy. It's all Western imperialism. So,
I mean, the Irish know how to party. That's
Mhm.
for sure.
We know how to party.
Yeah.
We also know how to resist. And you can do both at the same time.
I thought that, they're pretty connected for sure.
Yeah.
And you're in healthcare, obviously, as a nurse, so you have a different viewpoint on the matter in terms of healthcare and rights.
I am a nurse. I'm in LA.
But you travel, you have different contracts around the U.S. or just California, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in 7 states.
Yeah.
I've also worked in multiple countries.
Sure.
I worked in Puerto Rico, which is a colony, and a United States colony. And I think having worked across, on both coasts, across so many different cultures just within here in the States, you just see a lot of the same issues everywhere. They can be painted in different ways, but I think, again, we are all suffering under the same systems. And they being, the folks in power, love to create these culture wars to convince us that we have so many differences between us, but we don't. We really don't. And they do that. They create the culture war so that we don't fight the class war, so that we don't fight, I'm going to say it again, Western imperialism. Thank you.
Yeah. And when did you become a nurse?
I became a nurse in 2019.
So
fresh.
COVID must have been you're all over the place.
Yeah, I was 6 months off orientation when COVID hit.
They were paying well back then, I heard.
No.
No?
Well, it depends. They were paying travel nurse as well.
Oh, okay.
I was making $26 an hour night shift in a ICU in Denver, treating COVID patients.
Yikes.
Yeah, $26 an hour. Roughly.
How was it?
I think my take home was roughly $56,000 a year, and I still had student loans on top of all of that.
Wow.
So now, I mean, being in California, things are a lot better because of unions.
Sure, nice.
But in collective organizing, right?
Mhm.
I think Colorado's come a little bit further since I left, but not much. I believe that the starting pay for new grads there is still under $40 an hour. And yeah, I left to travel in 2021, and I've worked in, I mean, I don't want to count through them. I've worked at like over 15 different hospitals and in so many different hospital systems. And now I am trying to not.
Right. You've had to deal with the politics of healthcare too, with all these different places, and obviously the silence when it comes to the lack of healthcare that is, and the lack of aid that's getting into Gaza as well.
Right.
How did it feel did you feel like you had to be silent in a lot of these hospitals, or were you like, what kind of spurred you start to express yourself? And
also, how does it feel to be a nurse and seeing hospitals get bombed?
Yeah.
Awful. Especially when I know people inside of them. The amount of times I've messaged, I mean, specifically Mohammed, and asked how he is and if he's alive, because I know he's at European Hospital, and
he's a healthcare worker there.
Yes, he's a doctor.
No.
And
in Gaza.
Yes, he's Gazan. He's from Gaza. He's still there. He refuses to leave because he's a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, in COVID, we talked a lot about healthcare heroes. I don't think there are any healthcare workers on earth braver than the Palestinians. And I wish I could be there. I really wish I could. I don't think Israel would approve me to get into Gaza, even if I tried. And I was trying. And then something happened here at home with my little sister that I can't leave her.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I can't. That's a whole personal family thing. But my younger sister is just going through some major life experiences and changes, and I am her primary support system. And so that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Because I was planning on going. And I had friends that went, you know.
You love Gaza so much, why don't you go there?
I'm going. I'm going to go. I just...
we're all going to go.
Yes, we'll all go.
Yeah. It's free.
But I think, you know, I've done as much as I can being here. And that was why working with Insan was so important to me. And supporting the projects. You know, we were running field hospitals when the hospitals started getting bombed, and then all of our field hospitals got bombed, so those were shut down. Mm-hmm. We did a whole fundraising project to get solar panels on the roof of children's hospitals in Gaza. Those all got bombed. And, you know, since then we've still been running medical evacuations, but it's been so hard to get approval from the Israeli military to allow children out to get medical care.
And now they're bombing Iranian hospitals.
Yeah.
And schools.
And Syria and Lebanon and Yemen. I mean, how many
war crimes can you get rid of?
How many countries can one entity bomb in a 2-month spree without any kind of global
action?
Yeah, and I think also
response.
Accountability is really the word I want to use, because it's not even like a revenge thing. It's people need to be held accountable, and for the same reason that people need to be held accountable here in the States, right? That there are human rights violations happening here, but
these words are like tossed. Like, what is accountability other than actually going in? Like, there's been times in history where like NATO has gone and forcibly stopped people from committing war crimes. Like, why don't we get that?
Well, because the U.S. doesn't want them.
Sure, that's what. Because
we are, at the end of the day, the United States is greenlighting all of this.
Yeah.
And we are scary. So I think it's just a complicated geopolitical issue. I'm a nurse. I'm not a geopolitical specialist.
Yeah.
I do have opinions about those things, but I do think that at the end of the day, we are the bad guys. And it sucks that, you know, I work in hospitals here in the States, and I know that my tax dollars that are pulled from my paycheck are then sent to bomb hospitals overseas and my peers, because they are my peers. Like, a nurse anywhere in the world is my peer. And it sucks that so many healthcare workers here in the States don't have the, I think, higher level thinking to recognize that.
Right.
They went to nursing school just like we did. They went to medical school just like we did. They had their graduation ceremonies. They studied for hours and hours. They are just like us. And the dehumanization efforts by Zionists in the West to convince us that they're not is just so disheartening. Like, come on, guys. Like, the only thing that separates you and them is the fact that you were born here. Luck, chance. And I don't know. I think watching, because I think now, as of November, actually, so it's been a while, there were over 1,000 healthcare workers that had been killed in Gaza alone. And doctors kidnapped and assassinated. I mean, I'm blanking on the name, but there was one specialist in particular that was walking between European hospital and another healthcare clinic and was targeted by an Israeli drone specifically. Like, they know who these people are, and they are systemically taking out as many healthcare workers as possible because they are so difficult to replace. And I mean, the amount of training alone, right? Because we know that they've bombed every university in Gaza. How do you get that training to then replace these doctors that they are assassinating?
Right. And then
and
they're not
ICU
letting
nurses?
anybody else to come in. And,
Exactly.
Yeah. So
So
how are they training people? Is it like bring a buddy and you're learning how to be a doctor today?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
I would love to know, like, how
Yeah.
they're
straight up trial by fire, to be honest. Like, you got to learn, like, if whatever you can do.
learn on the job.
Yeah. Like,
Well, and I think that's also one of the things that's held me back from going is I don't speak Arabic yet. Okay.
insane.
I mean,
Yeah,
you already
You have it
I
on
know
your butt.
shukran and son, you know, like, I know stuff.
Yeah.
Habibi, Habibti. But I don't speak Arabic, so it's like, how much help would I even be with folks that might not understand what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a complicated issue, and I'm glad that there have been enough medical folks from the States and from abroad that have gone in that do speak Arabic. My friend Lana has been to Gaza twice now, wrote a book about her experience there as a nurse. She's Palestinian. And so I actually brought a keffiyeh that she gave me from Palestine.
Wow.
But
authentic.
yes, yeah, I know. It was a beautiful gift to receive. And I think this deliberate targeting of healthcare workers is part of this just broader project of genocide, because you don't have to kill someone indirectly anymore. What happens if someone in Gaza develops kidney failure and there's no nephrologist left in Gaza? That is a genocidal death, right? Like, that is
starvation.
Starvation, the denial of medical supplies. There's no anesthetic, and there has been no anesthetic getting into Gaza for, I mean, a long time, right? Like, this was an issue before the genocide began. The restriction of medical supplies, medicine, everything,
chocolate,
food,
into the Gaza Strip. But the fact that there are at least 300 women giving birth every day in Gaza with no anesthetic for C-sections, that is a massive abdominal surgery. They are cutting through every layer of your abdominal wall. And these women are going through it without any painkillers, without any antibiotics.
They feel it all?
Yeah, unless they pass out. I mean, you got two options. You feel everything or you pass out. So it's just difficult, because I think that, you know, we aren't speaking enough about the medical implications as a medical community. We need to cry out against this as a united medical community, but so many people have chosen comfort and silence and their own safety in their jobs here, which I guess I don't really fully understand because maybe it's just because I will die on this hill of using every ounce of privilege I have to yap for the force of the greater good. But I just feel like when I think of the medical workers that have chosen to remain silent, it's not that I think they're bad people necessarily. I think that they're just chicken shit and cowardly, like so deeply cowardly and selfish because they're choosing money over using their voice to advocate for people who have no way of doing it right now. And that is a direct call out to all of the medical influencers who have just chosen to say nothing. Or, God forbid, the Zionist medical influencers who were in my DMs justifying the bombing of hospitals. I have screenshots from not just me, but multiple people who she DM'd trying to justify why it's okay that Israel bombs hospitals. You should not be allowed to work in a hospital if you think bombing a hospital anywhere is justifiable.
Every accusation is a confession, right? Like we're seeing photos of them exposing themselves with, you have IOF soldiers in the bunker, like which
underneath an Israeli hospital.
Yeah, underneath hospitals.
Like they're doing it too.
IOF soldiers are in bunkers with civilians. They are under school, like they're using schools as shelters for the soldiers. Like every single thing that they've ever said about Palestinians or anybody that they've killed and targeted is exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And at this point, they've lost the narrative, and I think that there's no coming back for them.
Yeah, I mean, you're just morally bankrupt. And I have such deep shame in, I worked through COVID, and I think that during COVID and after COVID, I had so much pride in being a nurse and in my profession. And
hero.
Well, I
apparently you were essential. You guys were saving saving humanity. You were saving lives.
Yes, and I watched also as so many members of my profession volunteer their own personal safety to go and work these positions on the COVID floors, not knowing, back before we didn't even know what was an idea of what this virus was. And I had such a high opinion of our profession during that time, and it sucks that this genocide has robbed me of that, because I've watched the global medical community sin the Irish healthcare workers because they have been speaking up, and I love them very much. But I've watched the global medical community just remain silent, and that is so pathetic. It's pathetic. It's cowardly. It's just inhumane, and I don't understand how you justify clocking in at a hospital knowing damn well that a hospital overseas is being bombed and you've said nothing. That an ICU is being bombed and you've said nothing. That there are snipers shooting through the window into an OR and killing an OR nurse. That happened at, I believe, Al-Aqsa Hospital. And you're saying nothing.
Yeah.
How do you sleep at night? Like, I don't know.
I have a question, though. Are these people afraid that they'll lose their job, or they're just afraid of, they're just too secure and comfortable and making money and not caring? Do you know what I mean?
I think it can be multifaceted. I think that for the influencers, they don't want to lose the money.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of money. I lost every scrub partnership that I had as a nursing influencer when I started speaking out about Gaza, and I'd do it again. Fuck the money. I feel like I'm being gaslit every fucking day of my life. That my whole point in all of this is saying that bombing children is wrong, and there's anyone that is trying to disagree with that. How is anyone?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this about Miss Rachel a couple of episodes ago. Like, she said that, and then they all came after her. So it's ridiculous.
You said bombing children is wrong.
Yeah.
It's pretty complicated. We can argue about it for a while, but
That's what they always say, right?
like
It's
what?
too complicated.
Yeah.
It's too complicated.
No, you could
But,
say
you
only
know,
children is
The
wrong.
children might grow up to be
Nurses.
Nurses, doctors, cancer researchers, you know. But
yeah, and talking about children as well, additional to like obviously the intersection, like how everything's connected. You have ICE agents that are the new Gestapo, rounding up literal kids as well, throwing them in unmarked cars, and then driving off, and we don't know where they go.
Going.
So that's another huge parallel between like the lack of just brown and black bodies. They don't care.
Across the globe.
Yeah.
Western imperialism.
Yeah.
I mean, and U.S. citizens, too. There was a U.S. citizen child in Houston that was receiving... This story makes me so angry. Sorry, I have to collect myself. She was 9 years old, and I believe 9 years old. Was receiving medical care at a specialized clinic in Houston for her brain cancer, for a very rare form of brain cancer that she had. Her parents were not U.S. citizens, but were living in Mexico and had been crossing the border like very regularly to come and visit her as she received these treatments at this hospital in Houston.
Right.
They had been getting approval by U.S. Border and Immigration to come and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And last month or 2 months ago, they were apprehended. And because of the Trump administration's policy that families are deported together, they then deported this child who was receiving cancer treatment, who was a U.S. citizen, because her parents were undocumented. And I believe that they are now living in a shelter in Mexico, and she is no longer receiving that medical care. Her brother also had a cardiac condition and was also receiving medical care in Houston. He was also a U.S. citizen, and the whole family has been deported.
So,
I mean, we are seeing, again, this attack on black and brown bodies.
Can ICE go into hospitals without a warrant?
They can now.
And schools
And there was actually kind of a coordinated effort between me and some other healthcare workers that I know and love, and also some attorneys, because we cross-reference this information with attorneys. But we made a infographic on Instagram that ended up getting shared like over 21 million times. And it was just saying, you know, when these rules were reversed, these rules that prevented ICE from accessing previously protected areas, which are churches, schools, and hospitals. Mm-hmm. When those rules were reversed, we put out this information of what nurses needed to know and what healthcare workers needed to know. And that is that ICE can come into patient care areas, but they still have to have a warrant.
Sure.
And you can deny them access to anything, even if they have a warrant, if they are putting patients' lives at risk. So if they are trying to remove someone who is receiving life-saving medical care, you can say no. And it's our duty, I think, to say no. And we know that oftentimes they don't have warrants, or they show warrants that are fake, or like a DHS subpoena that doesn't have a signature from a judge. Right. You know, like they have so many tricks that they'll play, but I think nowadays we've just seen them force their way in without any kind of paperwork whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it is really important that healthcare workers, again, stand up for what is right. We are advocates by trade. This is what we do, and we have to protect our patients. But we put out that information in an infographic. I can share it with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Share it with your audience as well.
I mean, going back to you wanting to actually like do something and go to Gaza, like the next best thing is, you know, what a lot of healthcare workers and a lot of just activists in general are going to the countries around Palestine, especially like Egypt, for example, where there was this viral video about I think a British or some kind of nurse like really pleading, very emotional, talking to like the Egyptian police, or I don't know if you've seen it, but anyway, he's going and be like, "Where's your humanity?" and stuff. So like a lot of Arab countries are also and Middle Eastern countries are complicit in not allowing that aid to get in. Have you tried to get into other countries and try to, you know, maybe deliver aid for like patients that have made it outside of Palestine too?
So in San specifically, a lot of I think actually all of our medical evacuees are in Egypt. And we have staff members that go and check on them because a lot of them are unaccompanied minors because Israel doesn't approve their parents to come with them.
Sure.
They just don't. And so a lot of these kids are alone. So we have staff members that go and check on them. Yasmin being one of the main ones. She's our founder. She's phenomenal. I love her. Shout out Yasmin. But I think for me, it's difficult because I think it feels selfish and a little bit white saviory for me to feel like I have to be the one to go. I think that if I can use the platform that I have to amplify MENA voices and amplify people that are already there doing the work, the money that I would spend getting a flight to Egypt, getting a hotel, applying to the Israeli military to try and get into Gaza or, into these areas that may be treating Palestinian patients. I could also just donate and allow someone who's better equipped that speaks Arabic to do that for me. I think that, anytime that there's medical volunteerism, there's this aspect of like white saviorism that happens a lot, right? It's all the people that go to Africa and take pictures with the African orphans. Oh my God, look at me with all these brown children. I detest that. Like, I don't ever want to be viewed in that way.
Would it be okay if you just don't post that you're doing it? Like, you're not actually doing this white savior kind of posturing for the camera, but you still go and just unsung hero kind of situation. Is that better?
I think it depends on the situation.
Sure.
I have full intent to go when I can and when I'm able to.
Yeah.
It would be like the greatest honor of my life, I think, to serve alongside these doctors that I have just the utmost respect for, and these nurses that I have just the utmost respect for. I need all of these things to kind of align.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I am the person to do it right now. We have so many folks that are applying to go that are better equipped than I am.
I will say, though, as you alluded to earlier, you have a platform.
Yes.
Don't let anyone, don't let the idea that you might be seen as a white savior stop you from doing the thing that you want to do.
No, and I would never.
Yeah.
I would never.
A savior is a savior.
Yeah.
I just think, and I think it's about intent, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're going in there for the glory,
The selfies and
What
all
the
that.
fuck?
And actually document it, like you said, it's in context and intent. Like, if you're, posting selfies like, look at me, that's obviously really bad and poor taste and tone deaf. But if you're documenting and
Yes.
shedding light on it and
Yeah.
using your platform with those
In your
that
whiteness.
content-
yeah,
Because
weaponize the whiteness.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times people listen to white people more because of the the structure of the world, and then they're like, oh well, if this white person cares about it, then maybe I'll like even some of our best performing episodes about Palestine were through the lens of a white person
it's the juxtaposition of it all. Like, you have, it's like anti-Zionist Jewish person or Irish person or whatever talking about Arabs, with Middle Eastern people.
Yeah.
With love. Makes people more curious. But if it's like this, what people see as like this echo chamber of just brown people talking about it, like,
allies are important in any fight, right?
100%.
We need allies.
We do.
And I think that white bodies weaponizing their whiteness to protect marginalized people, like that narrative can apply to so many different fights.
Sure.
It's not just fighting for Palestinian liberation. It's applicable in so many different areas. And I think you're exactly right. I think that that's a really important thing because, unfortunately, as we've seen, the orchestrators, if you will, of the white supremacist Western imperialist regime, they're only ever going to listen to white folks. And so there's like this
they fear the white folks the most. I feel like that, like
they fear the suburban mothers. And once the suburban moms, once their opinion changes,
once Mrs. Rachel says,
once Miss Rachel's involved, they are scared. They are scared shitless. They are running and trying to scheme.
You guys are a dynamic duo for sure.
Yeah, would love to meet Rachel. Is she based in LA?
I don't think so.
Can she come on the pod?
I invited her, but we'll see.
God, she'd be phenomenal.
Yeah. She's like, can you say Zionism?
Can you say Habibi?
Yeah.
I know, right? That would be the.
But she's great. And again, like she's using the platform. She's
Yeah.
built it.
And she's not even saying anything crazy.
Yeah.
Like she's just saying the
Well,
bare.
she is saying something crazy like stop bombing children.
Well,
Right. Brown
Hey,
children.
what did those
matter.
children
Brown
do?
children deserve
Yeah.
to survive to adulthood.
what were the
and
children wearing?
People deserve to
Right.
survive.
Yeah, right.
A controversial idea.
So what's next? Like, what can we do? How do you see the future going? Like, is there any good that we can look forward to?
You know, I think that I
People are
tend
educated.
to listen to my Palestinian friends when I talk about hope, because I have heard from so many of them that this is the most hopeful that they've ever been, that change is coming. There is a global movement and people are waking up and understanding the lack of complexity here, because that's been the excuse, right, for so long. Oh, it's too complex. Israel and Palestine is too complex. It's not. It's very simple. Colonialism and colonial violence is wrong. We have a million examples of that. And the hope that they feel and that they've expressed to me, I have to hold on to, because I think hope is a really, really powerful weapon. And when people have that hope, there is a reason to maintain energy and to stay in the fight. Mm-hmm. So I am hopeful. I'm deeply hopeful. I think that the how do I say this in a way that doesn't put me on an FBI watch list?
You're already there, so don't worry. Yeah.
I probably am.
Yeah.
I think that the days are numbered of these violent regimes that we have seen harm so many people. There is a global movement towards collective consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I think, unfortunately, I spoke very negatively of accelerationists before the election. And if you don't know what accelerationism is, it is a belief system that exists on the far right and the far left that essentially wants fascism to take over. And they want it for different reasons, right? The far right wants fascism because they're fascists. The far left, accelerationists, want fascism because they think it's the only way to get people to realize at the working class level that we have so much in common, and there are so many of us.
It's like a class war instead of a...
Yes. Yeah. And I think, I tend to err on the side of harm reduction, so I was not an accelerationist. But now I have to hope that the accelerationists were right. Yeah. I have to hope that they were. Because
we're here.
Here we are. There are Marines deployed on U.S. soil to...
Never happened.
Yeah. Yes. And the National Guard has been deployed against the wishes of a governor, which has not happened since 1965, when actually the National Guard was sent to protect protesters in the civil rights movement. So what a stark contrast that is. Yeah. There are so many unprecedented things happening. We are in full-blown fascism, and we are seeing elected officials being arrested. We are seeing elected officials being taken and disappeared by ICE. We are seeing human beings and civilians being disappeared in real time. And I just have to hope that
we'll get through it.
Folks understand we have so much more in common. And that's my whole thing and my whole platform. What I try to communicate is like, I really don't give a fuck what your politics are. As a nurse, I have to treat everyone, right? I have treated everyone. One of the first patients I ever treated was a literal World War II Nazi. When I was in nursing school in Colorado, I took care of a German World War II veteran, is what I was told by my preceptor at the time. And I've also treated like people across the human spectrum. And I have to do it with the same level of professionalism because that's what's expected of me. And I think that in my online platform, I try and echo that same sentiment of like, I don't care what your beliefs are. I think you deserve to have healthcare. I don't care what your beliefs are. I think you deserve to be able to buy food. I think you deserve...
I'm walking out. This is too much.
Like...
How dare you...
Is there so you never use that,
advocate
right?
for essential humans
Essential
being
human rights.
right.
Wow.
Even the people taking away
So socialist
Yeah.
of me.
I know what's
people
wrong with
actively taking away healthcare from other people, they still deserve healthcare.
Everyone deserves healthcare. Everyone deserves housing. Everyone deserves. I believe in a universal basic
Radical.
income.
that? I believe in that. as well.
I believe that food and water should be free, and I will die on that hill. Healthcare should be free. As a nurse, I would work for free in that system because I believe in that. And I think, you know, again, also, if all my needs were met, if I didn't have a $1,000 student loan payment every month, it'd be a lot easier. But it's crazy to me that these were once taboo subjects and taboo thoughts, taboo talking points. I think that people are finally waking up, and I have to hold on to that hope. So to answer your question in a very roundabout way, I have hope because my Palestinian friends have hope, because my trans brothers and sisters have hope, because there is so much hope to be had right now that we are, even in, despite all of the horrors, we are seeing folks finally understand just how much we have in common with one another.
Well, Alexis, where can people see this content?
Oh God! Well, on Fox News, some nights.
Yeah.
do they put you on there?
There was
Against
like a
your,
time
yeah.
recently, and I actually
They
like
use
warned
you
my
for
mom.
like again. Like wait, what happened? So
My mom and her husband watch Fox News, and I did warn them a few years ago. I said, someday you're going to be watching this, and you're going to see your daughter. I was right.
in a good way.
No.
Yeah, they always use you as like to talk about. Wait,
Yeah.
what was it? What was it?
I can't even remember now. It was like last year. I can't even remember what video they used, but it was like libs of TikTok went after me. Elon Musk went after me in the same breath. I think it was something I posted against cops, but it was like a joke. It was like a joke TikTok where I was joking about telling my manager that I couldn't stop being mean to cops when they come into the ER and terrorize my patients, because I've seen them do that. I've seen them come in and tase people in a mental health crisis. I've seen them come in and bully people that are like in the midst of an overdose. Like I've seen horrific things. But it was a joke. The whole thing was like a joke.
Yeah.
And libs of TikTok was like, go after her, fire her. And then Elon Musk was like, she should be fired. And then I changed my TikTok bio to Elon Musk's least favorite nurse, which will go on my resume. But my mom, yeah. So anyway, you can see me on a lot of places. But TikTok at Traveling Nurse, Instagram at Traveling Nurse Lex, Threads at Traveling Nurse Lex, and
Also on the
in
front
an emergency room near you,
Yeah,
should
yeah.
you need me.
And if you were, what's one place you want to travel to?
Palestine is my dream, and it's been my dream since high school. I had one of my best friends in high school was Palestinian, and would show me photos,
Really?
and I just like have always dreamt of going. I think also there's an island off the coast of Yemen, Socotra. Top 3 dream locations to travel to. So protect Yemen, you know.
Yeah.
I think just the Middle East in general, Jordan is gorgeous. I want to go so bad.
What about Lebanon?
Yeah, Beirut. No.
Lebanon. Listen,
Yes.
also Iraq, like
Oh,
some of
yeah.
the oldest
Oldest
ruins.
civilization.
Yes, yes.
Mesopotamian.
Oh my God.
Iran,
Right.
the Persian Empire has a lot of
Right.
Iran has
history in
so
it.
All
much
right,
beautiful
cue
history.
the kneecap outro.
Oh, please. Oh my God. Chucky Arla.
Okay, well, and what does that mean to the Quran?
Chucky Arla, the direct translation is "Our day will come," and it's like a resistance cry.
It's Celtic, right?
It's Irish. Yes, it's the Irish language. It's Gaeilge.
Wow.
Yes, but kneecap references that a lot.
Love that.
They say Chucky Arla on a lot of their songs, actually.
One
yeah.
day will come.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Demonetized again.